College. Welcome to my lesson on pre-algebra, multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. What I've done here in the left column is I have written the same fact 4 different times and just kind of placed my negatives in here accordingly. But I want all of us to take a look at this a little more closely as to what happens when we are looking at our negatives. Negative 2 times 3 is going to be negative 6. 2 times negative 3 is also negative 6. And negative 2 times negative 3 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. Now let's look at this a little more closely. In this first statement, do you see here how I have 2 negatives? In the second statement, I also have 2 negatives. Third statement, I have 2 negatives. In the last statement, there are no negatives. Okay? When I'm looking at my division statements, here I've got a pair of negatives. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is 2. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2, so again I have a pair of negatives. Over here, 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. I've got a pair of negatives there, and here again, no negatives. What I'm hoping you will get out of this, that when you are multiplying or dividing positive and negative numbers, negatives come in pairs. So in other words, if you are calculating and you have a single negative here, you know your answer is going to have to be negative in order to make that pair. You will find no lone negatives in multiplication and division statements. So there's 2 things to consider, your sign and then the actual calculation. I'd like to go ahead and practice a couple of these. Here I've got a negative 8, so I know my answer is going to have to be negative to create that partner, that pairing. Then I can just focus on my fact. 8 times 9 is 72. Over here, again, I've got a negative, so I know my answer is going to have to be negative. Then I can just focus on 3 times 6 is 18. No negatives here, so my answer is going to have to be positive as well. 6 times 7 is 42. And over here, negative and negative, I've got my pair of negative already, so I can go ahead and say 5 times 8 is 40. That's all we need to work on. Let's go down here and take a look at the division. Here I've got my pair of negatives, so I know my answer is going to have to be positive. If I'd written negative here, I'd have a negative without a partner. And I need to remember that negatives come in pairs. So all I need to focus on is 6 goes into 12 2 times. Here, we've got 48 divided by negative 6. That's a negative. My answer is going to have to be negative in order for this negative here to have a partner. So and then I can just focus on 6 goes into 48 8 times. And here, no negatives at all, so my answer is going to have to be positive. 2 goes into 10 5 times. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and freeze your screen so that you can have a little time to work on those problems there. Okay, hopefully you have unfrozen your screen and you'd like to check your work. So I've got an answer key here for you to go ahead and check what you just practiced. So you can freeze your screen and check your work. And hopefully you fared well with that. That is really all that I need to throw in here for multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. Just remember that negatives come in pairs. I'm hoping that you would want to go back and practice adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing positive and negative numbers, the whole gamut, before we move on. Hopefully you'll join me in my next lesson on dealing with square roots and squares. Thank you.